Now we're getting recorded. Recording in progress. And here we go. What up, Restoration Rebels? This is Andy McCabe, your Restoration Rebel leader. I got Joe Spears in the house. And this is the 16th of March, 2023, the first day of the big dance. I've had 4 or 5 different screens up all day watching different games. Watching Kansas take care of business in the first round easily over Howard, and Virginia Tech lost to Maryland. That was a tight game. That was a hustle of a game. Anyway, let's get down to business here. Okay, agreement number 1. I will protect the value of my services. Agreement number 2, I will practice incredible transparency. Agreement number 3, I do not believe in competition. Agreement number 4, I am willing to walk away from any project, client, or contract that is not compatible with my values and stated mission. So, welcome, Joe. Welcome, Joe. How's life over there in the east side of this country?
The Midwest is doing pretty well. We're on our 12th winter now, I think. I mean, every morning I wake up, it snows, and then by midday, I got to turn the air conditioner on, and then I have my windows open and everything. And right now it's raining, but it thinks it wants to get out of winter, but it's not quite sure yet. Yeah,
we had last week. It was negative. It was below zero. Ice on the windshield in the morning. And even yesterday it was snowing, and then it turned out to be 50 degrees. Today it's probably in the mid 50s. It's crazy. Yeah, we're working on multiple winters ourselves over here. So I want to talk about this this article from by Ed Cross. Just came in today's CNR magazine. There's a beautiful check for $335,000. And the subject of this article is Truth and Myths of O&P, the grand finale. So I think this particular claim and lawsuit has been going for some time, and it looks like they closed it out. But we have the O&P discussion. Every other day?
There's a link for it from the website, or from the website if you want to read that. Anyone wants to read it.
Nice. Is that in the chat?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to copy that. Select all. Copy. Bring it over here. Drop it in the Facebook feed. Didn't look like anyone's watching over there, but it's all right, man. It's all right. So I'm going to read a little bit here to get to the crux of the matter here. Essentially, okay, let's just start at the beginning. Allstate Insurance Company has paid $335,000 to settle an insurance bad faith lawsuit filed by an Orange County, California property damage restoration contractor. Ooh, that's my kid's school calling. I should probably take that. Carry on, Joe. Hold on a second. I'm going to take this.
Mute yourself. Might be personal.
Hello, this is Andy.
Yeah, so I'll continue on here. So this is from Ed Cross. Allstate Insurance Company paid $335,000 to settle an insurance bad faith lawsuit filed by an Orange County, California property damage restoration contractor with an assignment of insurance rights, AOR, that included an assignment of benefits. The case arose from a $250,000 insurance claim for a fire that burned part of a garage of a home insured by Allstate in the upscale community of Aliso Viejo, California. I'm sure I said that wrong. The homeowner engaged the services of a restoration contractor with general contractor's license to remediate and repair the damage to the real and personal property, the real estate, the structure. The contractor is not part of a network and no TPA was involved. The contractor reported to Allstate that smoke contaminated the interior of the home and its contents. Allstate paid approximately $100,000 for mitigation and structural repairs. The 2-story, 4,000 square foot home, 6-bedroom house was occupied by a husband, a wife, and their children. It was heavily loaded with contents. The contents of the entire home were packed out to facilitate the carpet replacement, restoration of the floors, and painting of the walls and ceilings. Allstate did agree to the pack out. To expedite the processing of the contents, the contractor notified Allstate that it subcontracted the pack out and contents work to a specialty vendor. The contractor billed $149,574.21 for the contents portion of the project, which included a markup of $24,929.14 for overhead and profit. The contents adjuster responded, remove overhead and profit. O&P is not warranted for contents. It does not require a high level of coordination. It was notable that the statement did not say that this particular contents project did not require a high level of coordination.
No,
The contractor interpreted it as a universal statement that contents restoration never requires a high level of coordination, which is false. The contractor was frustrated because Allstate did not inquire with the contractor about its coordination efforts. Remove O&P.
Remove O&P as an instruction. So the RIA does have a position paper on this. It's entitled Adjusters Dictating Restoration Charges. And so I recommend you look that up. Side note, if you're not a member of the RIA, you probably need to be a member of the RIA. All right. Well, I'm going to get back to that. We're going to circle back to that topic after we're done with this. So what Ed was able to establish is carriers have a duty to pay O&P when it is reasonable. And that reasonableness is not up to the adjuster. It's up to the homeowner and it's up to the contractor performing that work. So what he got was, he got him on bad faith. He got him on demanding that overhead, and they got a statement from an adjuster that says Allstate does not cover overhead and profit for mitigation or contents. And they were able to establish that that's just an out lie, because they were able to show a history of claims where Allstate had paid overhead and profit on mitigation and contents. So Allstate foreclosed any possibility that overhead and profit could ever be considered for mitigation and contents. Allstate is obligated to judge each claim on its merits, and unless an exclusion applies, it must pay the costs reasonably incurred to address the unique circumstances of each loss. I love Ed. He's so detailed. So at the end, the very last sentence, the policy controls. That's what we're always trying to go back to, right? This is a $335,000 settlement from Allstate that didn't admit any liability or anything else over a $33,000 bill for overhead and profit. So Allstate wanted to go to the carpet to prove this thing out, and they were proven wrong. And so what this does, I think that sets the stage for all of us to look at our billing practices and really ask the question, is the reason we stopped charging O&P because it was too hard? It was too much friction. We got too much flack for it. Or did we make a business decision that we didn't need O&P? I'm going to argue all day long. It was the previous, not the latter. So the policy controls, that's what this comes down to. If it's not in the policy, I think I've written 400 memes on the subject. Show me the policy. If it ain't in there, it doesn't exist, right? So whatever words come out of the adjuster's mouth, you need to ask them to back it up with the policy language that confirms that. Absent policy language, your bill, as long as it's reasonable, should be paid as a cost incurred. That's just what it comes down to. I love giving the insured that kind of leverage and contractors that kind of leverage. It's if you always default back to the policy, it's just really hard for adjusters to pull this blanket statements of we don't pay O&P for this or we don't pay for that sort of thing. I've got a claim I'm sort of handling here in Bend. I'm working for a contractor, but I met with the homeowner and the contractor, and I was able to coach them up. And they had a major fire loss. and they have State Farm, and they're meeting this adjuster this morning. That's happened at 10 o'clock. And after that meeting, I got the rundown from the homeowner and the contractor. And I think it's been 6 weeks since the loss, maybe 7 weeks. And the homeowner has asked no less than 10 times for a copy of their insurance policy. And so this adjuster, who is a local adjuster, and he really, I think he believes that he walks on water and he is God's gift, was just trying to run this claim, just run over the homeowner and dismiss this contractor out of hand because he didn't know this contractor. It was so bad in that the mitigation vendor that was called in is a local mitigation vendor, but they're on the programs. And this adjuster has the gall to walk in, and this mitigation vendor is cleaning up their stuff and taking their equipment out. He walks in and fist pumps the technicians removing the equipment. And the homeowner came unglued because he's like, what the hell is going on here? Who is the client here? Who is the insured here? Why are you being so buddy-buddy with these guys? And by the way, this vendor, I'm not going to name them, they're garbage. They're garbage. I walked in last week. They had the house full of equipment, but 3 or 4 pieces were running. They had wired up 3 different spider boxes, but all the equipment was plugged into the walls. It was weird. It was like, why go through the trouble of wiring directly to the panel and running spider boxes if you're not going to plug the equipment into the spider boxes? I went through and did my own moisture readings. Everything was dry. So I was like, you need to call these guys and tell them to pick up their equipment. Well, I was there 2 days ago and all the equipment was running again, and they had air movers and stuff running on materials that I had verified was dry 7 days ago. So these guys are garbage. But this adjuster walks in like he's God's gift and starts dictating to the client and the contractor, this is what I'm going to cover. This is what I'm going to cover. And the client came unglued again and said, how the hell are you going to tell me what is and isn't covered when you can't even give me a copy of my policy? You've obviously read my policy. Why can't you give me a copy of my policy? And the adjuster said, no, I can't do that. These are the things that the normal people, like people that aren't sophisticated and not empowered, would be like, all right, I guess that's how it goes. But this guy's going to he's going to file complaints against the pet vendor. He's going to file complaints against the adjuster, and he's going to make State Farm step up to the plate and pay his claim. But outside of my advice and my coaching, I don't know that the average person will be able to do that. So I like to see these big wins. This is a huge win. This means we can refer back to this case. I'm sure the case number or whatever is in there somewhere from California. Every time an adjuster says we don't pay for that and we don't pay for O&P, we need to be bringing up this case. By the way, yes, you do. By the way, show me the exclusion. By the way, show me where in the policy it says you don't do that. So what's your take on that, Mr. Spears? I know you get along with everyone. You get along with all the adjusters in your market.
I mean, honestly, it's like I tell everybody. You think $1, it only takes 58 cents to build a cheeseburger at McDonald's and you pay $1.20. That's because there's overhead and profit built into it for the McDonald's corporation.
There's markup.
If you have a business, it is your right as a business to include a markup so that your business fees that are not part of a specific job, like your internet, your rent, your vehicles and their car insurance, they're used on multiple jobs. That is what overhead is. You should be adding overhead to cover the cost of that because the project itself is paying for the project itself. And you shouldn't be taking money from the Smith project simply, out of the project scope of work for what needs to be done there to cover your overhead. Your overhead, you add into it. Your profit, you should be making profit. Now, if that means that you tell the adjuster that it's going to, if you're using Xactimate or if you're using your own, whatever, if you tell the adjuster it's $1,000 to replace the roof, that means that you say it's $1,000 to replace that roof, and then you add your overhead and profit on. You don't tell them it's going to be $1,000 and then, oh, well, my sub's actually going to do it for $800. That's a problem. But if you're being true and showing integrity with your estimates and estimating correctly, then you should be making and the 10 and 10 even is a myth. If you need to look, everyone needs to look at their company and determine what their company requirements are. I know some companies that literally they have a 5% overhead and they shoot for a 15% profit. I know some companies that want to make 30% profit on every job, and they want to 10 and they have a 12% overhead. The 10 and 10 is no different than saying I use the default pricing. It's your default number that everyone kind of associates, but every company, just like we report back, we tell you guys, know what your labor burdens are. Make sure your estimates are accurate for your company. Your overhead and your profit needs to be accurately taken into account as well. And if you're doing, like I said, the price list is just a basic guide for you to take care of a job. I just got done doing 6 FEMA losses. I was charging $425 per dehumidifier because that's what it takes, because FEMA doesn't pay separately for deconning the equipment,
takedown,
setup, the
trip
takedown
charges. No, they want
so
it all. They don't want it in one number. Yep,
they want one single number. So $425 per dehu. So even the government, if you do government work, they recognize that the pricing you can't. No adjuster is going to tell you can only charge $125 for the dehu. You charge what's accurate for the job you did, and if you're being honest, if you're being, if you're showing your level of integrity and you're accurately estimating things correctly, you have every right to take care of these projects and bill what you need to bill on them.
Yeah, but that's a great point. And there's a couple paragraphs here started with, do you have evidence to support your price and billing method? If you're just throwing shit at the wall and thinking, just seeing what'll stick, and if you're adding 10 and 10 just because you think you should, and you don't have a business case, right? You haven't built your case like, this is my overhead, this is my profit I need to get, this is why I use this particular number. You are not putting yourself on solid ground as far as negotiating these things. So, Miss Jennifer,
hi.
Hey. We're talking about the cover page of the CNR magazine that just came into my inbox today, where Allstate, in their infinite wisdom, decided to settle out for $335,000 over a $33,000 dispute over overhead and profit. And so Ed Cross, God bless him, took that. Looks like they won. I'm not sure if that's a public case or not yet, but it's great.
That is great. Advocacy is working.
It really is. It really is. So let's segue to the AGA and the RIA. I have a booth number, 601.
You do?
I'm on 601. Where are you at?
I think I'm 535 or something.
Okay. All right. I'll wave at you. So the RIA convention is coming up on the 24th of April next month, sneaking up on us. And they need more than our support. They need our involvement, right? We've been yelling and screaming and bitching and moaning for years, but here's where the rubber's hitting the road. The AGA, the RIA, Ed Cross and team, they are making it happen. And they can't make it happen without funding. They can't get funding without membership. And that's why they need our membership. That's why we need to be involved.
I think it's $800, right? It's cheap, right?
I think it's cheaper than that. For first-time members, it's way cheaper than that.
Come on,
it's
you guys.
It's $40 a month
to have a plethora of, support and, have them advocating for the whole industry.
Well, for me,
I hate to make it turn into an RIA commercial, but
no,
they really are doing well.
It needs to be an RIA commercial because that's where we're at. We can bitch and moan and cry and wring our hands and be all frustrated, or we can put our money where our mouth is and get behind an organization that's actually doing things.
It's
guess
$800.
it's gonna be a commercial. We need to talk about why you should go to the show. It's located in Orlando, Florida. So you could bring the fam and they could be occupied while you're there. It's great weather. The exhibit hall is bringing everything that pertains to the industry as far as new equipment, new stuff that the people can use in the office. You could bring your office manager to the show. You can have ways to track a loss of equipment. There's software for controlling your payroll. There's software for managing your vehicles, your fleet, making sure your drivers are driving safe speed limits, or if they're hitting the brakes, or if they're tailgating. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there that even if you just go to the exhibit hall, which is where we'll be, you could take a lot of classes, and there's a lot of great keynote speakers. I don't know if you have that at your fingertips too, but
I'm gonna tell you why my number one reason for attending is the pre-session class on pricing. This is one of the few opportunities any of us have to get into the certified pricing consultant. What's it called? Certified pricing expert. Xactimate.
yeah, that's
certified.
going to be you.
And well, yeah, that's why I'm going. That's my number one reason. And being a member of the RIA gives me the opportunity to get into this class, which probably has a 2,000 person wait list. No one else is getting into this class for the next year because it's that new and it's that popular. And for me, it's that important. So that's what I made the decision to go.
And from my understanding, the class, what it's all about is Xactimate's going to teach you how they come up with the pricing they get and what kind of information they pull from. And then once you take the test and you become a certification holder, whenever they have issues and they feel like, hey, we need to know how much an average price or something is in your area, since everyone's all around the country, they're going to call those people and say, hey, is it realistic that shingles would be, a roof replacement should be this much money or this here, whatever. And they're going to actually pull off of the industry's knowledge to help try to, in the future, get better pricing on these price lists. Because
and sitting on the stand, raising my right hand, left hand on the Bible, I look forward to testifying on Xactimate pricing and how contractors use that. I look forward to adding that to my expert witness repertoire. Oh man, I messed that one up.
Repertoire.
Thank you. Toi. Sorry, I got basketball in the mind. I'm trying to watch games over my left shoulder here.
And I mean, let's be honest, guys. Even if you're not interested in all the new technology, you get to meet us, and that's what matters the most.
Well, that's what really matters to me. I don't go to an event to see vendors or attend things except for this pricing class.
Thanks a lot.
I don't. Why I attend events is to meet people. And
if you don't network, your business won't survive.
Sure.
Well, yeah, you just
there's
have
also
a
a golf
time.
Tournament. If you're interested, y'all.
That's Monday the 24th.
If you're in crappy weather, you should go, because the first day of the show there is going to be a golf tournament.
8 to 1. That's starting early, which is fine. I'm going to ship my abnormally large clubs all the way out there because I'm sure I can't rent clubs that will adequately serve my 6'7" frame. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be 3
What
full
booth are you in
days.
again?
I don't know. I don't know if I've been assigned a group yet.
No, what booth?
Oh,
What
booth
booth?
601.
535. We're very close. We're towards
Okay.
the back.
So I can throw things at you.
Yes. Well, you could come and try to put your little balls into the cup for the what do you call that game?
This is a family show. All right. I don't want to talk about putting balls in cups.
Balls in the ping pong ball, silly.
Are you doing what's that, beer pong without the beer?
Conditional. 20 years later, still the same game. Everybody likes it.
That's right.
Broken.
So will there be special secret beverages under the table for the rest of us?
Who would say?
Hmm.
I'd say. Okay, I'm looking at the event right now. They're giving out the Phoenix Award too. If you don't know the RIA, since we're doing the RIA commercial, the RIA also is very proud for decades. Has given out what they call the Phoenix Award, and that's a contractor company or a restoration company that exhibited excellence when they were taking care of a certain job site, and then they submit, and the committee selects them. Sometimes it's like they did a great, a flood job on a church or something like that. So that's kind of cool. They also have the 2023 Women in Restoration Award that's given out.
Nice.
They also have the Patricia Harmon Golden Quill Award.
The Golden Quill. I have yet to have an article published in this fine magazine. So that's my goal this year. I want to get an article published this year.
There's also the Martin Luther King Award. I don't know what that entails. And they also have the Contractors Choice Award.
It's the Marty King, not the Martin Luther King.
It says Martin Luther King.
Really?
Martin?
I swear it's the Marty King. All right, man. I could be wrong.
Well, and then there's also, I have never seen this one before, the RIA Pete Consiglio Educational Scholarship Award. Which is really big. Yeah.
Okay.
And let's see.
We'll
Did the
go with that.
1980s just call somebody?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Did it just
So
get a
the
call from
registration.
1989?
So registration, let's see, you could go ahead and register for this event. Did you give out the dates?
24th through the 26th of April, Orlando, Florida. That's all I got.
Also, it's important to mention some keynote speakers that will be there. Gloria Bailey, Ed will be speaking.
Mr. Mark Watley is part of the keynote.
I
like that guy. He's kind of cool.
Is he on
For
there?
a smart guy.
Okay.
He's keynote.
I'm going to take a random guess of what he's going to talk about. I don't know
what I asked him? I asked him specifically, please don't talk about pricing. We've had enough. I don't want to do it. We had 2.5 hours of pricing talk in Xactimate, in Anaheim. We've had enough for the year. We should move on.
Sure.
We can move on.
They'll be discussing.
It was great to see you, by the way.
They're going to be discussing pre-convention core logic course, Time is Money. There'll also be a course on certified Xactimate pricing consultant course.
Certified Xactimate pricing consultant. That's going to be me. I'm going to get a badge right there.
You love that. And then there's going to be a building construction and science course. There will also be a pre-convention project management course. And then, of course, there will be the welcome reception. And keynote speaker will be discussing Help Me Help You, building your RIA network.
That's the keynote? Oh, I thought Mark Watley and the new president of Xactware Estimating Solutions was going to be the keynote. No?
I don't. Do you want me to click on that? Because then I lose my place.
Oh, I don't know.
Also have.
Why don't you share your screen so we can see what you're.
Oh,
do you have the technology? Can you do that?
I can do that. Smart Alex. There you go.
It was great to see you in Anaheim, though. That was cool.
That was fun, huh?
I love seeing people in the real.
Can you see
I
it?
had to bail. like immediately after.
Yep, we can
No,
see
I
it.
went to take. I was going to give you a ride to the airport or the hotel, and I'm like, "Where did Andy go?" I was going to give him a ride. Okay, so here we go.
Oh, there you are. There you are. I
This is
see
day
you.
one. So y'all, April 23rd, Sunday, you'll fly in Sunday. And what I like to do from the West Coast, if any of you don't know, is not to waste your daytime value, is I like to take a red-eye flight out of LAX. So I land in Florida right at like 6 a.m. So you don't miss a day. You can still work all day.
You're coming in on Saturday night or Sunday morning?
I likely will fly out Sunday night out of LAX and land Monday morning. That's my day.
Oh, no. See, I'm going to fly out Sunday. I
Yeah,
want
I
to be fresh.
It's cute. Okay. And then we have the golf tournament is Monday morning. That's why you want to be fresh.
That's right.
Okay. And then we have
I'm
the
gonna
building
limber up,
section we discussed, the
do
project
some
management.
yoga.
A nice project management course. Also, folks, it's important to mention that, if you're trying to build your own individual team, you need to armor your employees
Wait,
with
scroll back up.
education.
Scroll back up. I'm not gonna be able to golf.
Wah, wah,
Damn
wah.
it.
Oh, darn it. Because you got to get your accreditation for your.
I didn't even, oh my goodness. I can't
my
golf. That's all right.
goodness.
Yeah, if you've
Okay.
seen me golf, it's not a loss. It's not a
So
huge loss.
anyway, as I was saying, the importance of bringing people with you. I realize there's a $500 airfare, probably, and then maybe a couple
500.
but
It's gonna cost me
whatever.
1,100.
Okay, whatever. I'm just saying, like, folks, invest in your people because you give them value, you make them feel important. And, there's a lot that they can learn too to help your company be a success and help them feel like part of the team.
Yeah.
So,
And for me, it's you got to be involved. If you want to see real change, you've got to be involved.
Yeah.
I'm going to double down on the RIA this year.
Right. I will too.
I want to see what it takes to become. I'm going to see what committees I can be.
Ooh,
be
look
on.
at this.
What's that?
Wednesday, 2:25 to 3:45, third party administrator panel. Oh,
They're gonna have metal detectors on that one before you can get into that hall.
let's take a look, shall we? Third party administrator panel, Wednesday, 2:25 to 3:45.
Not
Join-
much of a panel. There's
Oh,
just
it's
one guy. It's just
This
Ed.
is Ed. Oh, it says he invited guests. It's a mystery.
And invited guests. Oh, well, they don't want us to know, what caliber of weapon to bring.
I was gonna say,
Joking. I'm not part of this. Joking. Join Ed Cross, the RIA restoration advocate, and invited guests as they discuss challenges and relationships between keepsakes and restoration companies.
All right. I mean, I'll go just to watch the slow motion train wreck.
Okay. So
There is
and also thank you to Sunbelt.
Okay.
Because Sunbelt, even though they're a big gigantic conglomerate, you guys all use them and they make lots of money. I'll tell you that Ken is always in there supporting all of the associations and the RIA and many of the other trade shows. And they always step up as big sponsors and that they're going to be sponsoring
Industry party.
industry parties. So
Industry party. All right.
yeah, so I like to shout out for Sunbelt because I always see them as a sponsor and that ain't cheap.
Mm-mm. No, it ain't.
And I don't see United ever doing it, by the way. So
United does other things. United is a big player in the large loss mastery game. They're around, and let's be real. When the shit hits the fan, there's never enough rental companies. Everyone's out of equipment anyway, so we need to know everybody.
Sure.
For me, this particular convention is important. I feel like we're at a inflection point as an industry, and if you want to have a voice, you need to be at the party. You need to be present. You can't just voice your anger and frustration from a distance on a Facebook page. You've got to get involved. So
yes,
I'm putting my money where my mouth is.
Encourage somebody to sign up and show up at the RIA and not only support the industry, but retain a lot of very important information that is regarding the industry. And I hope you also bring a friend, bring a manager, bring a technician with you, because we need to unfold the industry and we need to see young new faces, and you need to be a good mentor. That's what you're supposed to do. You're all of these guys
100%.
are a little bit older like myself, and we should have a succession plan.
We should. You know what my succession plan is? Make lots of money and let somebody else figure out the problem. I'm working on that.
Cool.
Can I get selfish here? I mean, you guys have any other hot topics to talk about?
I'm here just for the show, so whatever you want to talk about.
I'm here for
I
the
would say
popcorn.
get cyber liability insurance. A lot of people are not, that's not even on their radar right now.
So
but
how are people being affected by the lack of cyber insurance? What are you seeing out there as far as damages? What's going on?
Well, when you think about cyber, you think about like, oh my gosh, my computer crashed. But you need to think of cyber more like, hey, we took their credit card and now all of our stuff is compromised, and you could be responsible up to 3 years for anyone if you're taking any of their personal information. So if you've now thought you were really savvy and you're using the Square or you're using Venmo, I don't know about Venmo if there's any liability on that.
Stripe,
But typically our corporations are not.
We Pay,
We're
Stripe.
taking their credit card information. So keep that in mind. You have a lot of responsibility when you're taking credit card information, because you could be responsible, even if the credit card, even if they stole everything off of your data, even if they stole that. Let's say you have your technicians are leaving laptops, they're getting stolen like crazy out of cars. All that data is in there for them to steal. And you could be responsible for not only if they use that credit card, but also for 3 years to pay to do background checks and be responsible for monitoring the loss for years after if you're found responsible for cyber liability. So I see a lot of exposure for that. So folks, technicians, make sure that you have them sign an agreement that they won't keep the laptops in the car when they're not in the car. That's one thing I would say.
Okay. Yeah. It's smash and grab. That's easy.
Yeah.
I've gone so far as to, I used to just walk away from my computer, right, at the office and just go home. And now I'm like, yeah, and I want to leave it running because I remote in sometimes and use Xactimate and things like that. But I've started locking it out, like locking, Windows, because I realized I came in one day after a long weekend and my financials were up, my email was up. I mean, like if someone just walked into the office, they could have just had everything. So I was like, oh,
that
shit.
reminds me of the same thing about the iPhones. I cannot tell you how many guys are out there that are running their whole businesses off your phones. I'm baffled by that, but
Woof.
it is becoming quite the trend. It's driving me back crazy. Where when you're doing insurance, we cannot make any changes to your policy via, phone, text, whatever. It has to be via email. So I do see a lot of you that are very vulnerable, leaving all of that data and all that information on your phone, and you're not using two-factor authentication. So you're not doing that, and you need to be doing that. And if you're letting your what do you call them? Your appraisers, your Xactimators, oh my God, my brain fried. Your technicians or your
underlings,
your sales reps. If your sales reps are out there, then your estimators, that's the word. They've got all that data on their phone also. Like, come on, y'all, don't be leaving those phones in the car and leaving sitting around and open. There's a lot of customer information on there. And I've even been told that lately I took a cyber class, and even even a zip code could be considered personal information. So be
interesting.
Diligent.
Interesting. You and all the other thousands of people that live in that zip code, evidently.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, I understand this is a small sample size of 2, but I want to run something by you guys. I'm looking at rebranding my company, Claims Delegates. We write Xactimate estimates, just like Joe's company writes Xactimate estimates. I'm wondering if Claims Delegates is a name that is worth holding on to and maybe just refreshing and rebranding, or if anyone would notice if I change the company name. So I'll tell you what the feedback I've received is. I've got really 25 consistent clients out of a potential of 40, 50,000 potential clients in the market. So changing the name, for them, they're probably not even going to blink. So what is your guys, as you've known me for a while, in my experience, most people know me, they don't know Claims Delegates. So what if I were to change the name? What do you think would
I think
happen?
you should change it. I don't know. It doesn't say what it is you do. And
Okay.
people need to know what it is you do. And the only way they're going to find out what you do is to go find out from somebody or go read your email. And I'm telling you, these guys are all running a mile a minute. They're wearing so many hats trying to bid on jobs, smaller shops, bid on, and those are the ones that really need you. They're trying to bid on jobs, get equipment, get employees to show up, get paid, get equipment, get materials. And I think that it almost needs to be like, you need to be like an estimator aide or an estimator assistant or something that says what it is you are.
Yeah.
Personal assistant, estimator, personal assistant.
I went down the GPT rabbit hole last night with name word associations, and I mean there was thousands of results, so I got dizzy pretty quick. So yeah, I'm working on that. I need to come through that. So Joe, you recently changed the name of your company.
Yeah, I kind of had to.
With a little bit of encouragement, let's say, from Xactware.
Yeah, pretty much like anybody can have the word estimates or estimating in their name because it describes what your business does. So there's no harm there. But any company that uses a combination of the word estimating with exact of any form, EXACT, XACT, anything there, if it's too much of a trademark infringement on their trademark name. So they will pretty effectively, what I've heard is if you got the letter X in your name, the closer it is to the word exact, the quicker you'll get a letter, but pretty much they'll try to come at you. That's what I've been told. But I mean, for me, it wasn't hard to rebrand it. And I mean, all I did was change the name itself. I kept the logos and stuff. And I mean, I'm actually happier with the new name I use because it does, for me, before it was just exact estimates, that's what he does. He writes estimates. This one will allow me in the future as I grow to expand into other resolutions that people might need to have done for their jobs, and I mean, for you, I think if anything, even if you don't get rid of if you want something new, like do DBA something, keep Claims Delegates as the parent company, but do a DBA that, kind of, this is the estimating, write your sheets. That's my estimating side. And this is my consulting side. And this is my PA side. And, my parent company's claim, because everyone, you don't want, you already have, it's a big pain in the butt to get everybody to know your new emails, and you got to keep it active still regardless. But
you made a good point, and I'm going to add to how many times contractors decide to change their name because, Andy, they do it exactly what you do, and they're trying to use Google and Yellow Pages and see how they're going to get business. And so that leads me to an insurance question or suggestion. When you're changing your names, a lot of times you'll change it specifically for marketing purposes. When you do that, please make sure that you reach back out to your carrier or your insurance broker, and you make sure that they add that DBA on the policy. Because I've seen several situations where I don't get told that the name was changed or that they added a DBA. They engage in contract by the new DBA name, and the carrier can say, hey, I don't know who ABC is. I have you down as, I don't know who CD is. I have you down as claim delegate. You never told me you were going by the name CD. So
we don't insure CD.
We don't insure CD. So please make sure you get those names straight. And every time you do, you make sure you indemnify your policy with the new DBA.
For Andy, I would say the two things that I always take into account. Number one, when I rechanged my name was I had a list like this mile long of different names I liked. First off, I went online and figured out how expensive it was to get the domains and things like that there, because one of the names I was going to go with was like $3,000, and I was like, not happening. Sure. But it's also, I guess the question was, if you're rebranding, because you think it can help you expand and all this, what are you trying to expand into that you don't feel like? Because from my point of view, Claims Delegates, that's something insurance related. So if you're trying to be more into, even just general contractors that don't do insurance work and you want to do work, something a little bit more, open on the naming wouldn't be bad for you. But it's a damn good name. I don't see really a massive reason to get rid of it, but it also, it's also kind of like mine now, where it's ambiguous. You don't really know. Well, obviously they do something in insurance, but what the hell do they actually do? You know?
Mm-hmm.
So, that's why, like I said, I mean, if I were you, I would DBA, write my sheets. That's your estimating side. DBA, McCabe Consulting, or, whatever it is for your PA side and stuff. That way there you
Yeah,
can.
and that's that, it's funny that you said that, but yeah, that's exactly the direction I'm going with. The PA side, it's going to be some function, it's going to be some derivative of Andrew G. It's going to be me, because that's on the PA side, it's very, very personal.
So when you run the name under the last name, the Department of Insurance is that you have to get your PA through. They're extremely stringent on names, and the typical.
How so?
Well, I don't know about like with the insurance world, but when you're in the insurance world, you have to either use in your name, you have to use the word insurance, group, agency, or like you have to use those words in your company name.
Well, I don't remember anything regarding that when I went to go. I have to have, in Washington State, I have to have a company license and a personal license, and the personal license has to run under a company license. And I think it's
well,
not
I'm
the
in
same
California.
anymore.
We have communism, so they have to.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. But so the state of Washington didn't give me this list of acceptable name, nomenclature.
No, in California, they have to approve the name, and it has to have.
They have to approve the name. But that's got to be just on the agency side. It's not ringing a bell for me.
Okay.
Well, it's also probably because every agency has, so-and-so's insurance agency, and they need to make sure that you aren't stepping on toes and mixing things up and all too much.
I actually, not to get off the subject, but I did step on toes because Sterling Insurance is a very large company. But there was one little caveat that they couldn't stop, was that if it's your actual name, they can't not tell you can't use it. So
that's right. That's right.
So that's why the JM got at it.
Yeah.
Because probably close to, kind of like a trademark infringement. I mean, it's no different than the Hollywood people and all that. Nobody uses their real name because they all have to. Nobody's allowed to have the same name. Everyone has to have different names.
Sure.
So I mean, but like I said, I mean, if I would do DBAs and keep the Claims Delegate as your parent company, because even still, if you DBA, it's going to protect you, just like how and tell me if I'm wrong or not here, but I could have so-and-so restoration, and then I could have this carpet cleaning as a DBA, and that'll protect that portion of the company from the it protects the whole company from any issues on that DBA company. Is that correct?
Well, again, here's another caveat to the insurance rule on the name is you want to make sure you keep your original name, especially if you're a contractor. You guys love to change your names, but you want to make sure the prior acts are also covered. So that would make you want to keep.
Unless you want to wash your hands of all prior acts, and then you just open a new license or a new name. That is why contractors change their names.
Well, they also do it because they get a whole crap load of workers' comp claims. The problem is they think they're getting around that, so they change the name. But what they don't realize is these underwriters are smart enough. They look at the EIN number of the business. They figure out, okay, that name. They look at the owner of the structure and they go search that name. And they find out if it's attached to another old EIN number. Or they go to the contractor state license board and they go, oh, look, there's that other name. And so they make you mush those losses together and you pick up that exposure. That's
on workers' comp.
Yeah,
what a racket. What a racket. Does anyone, I mean, is there any upside to workers' comp, or is it just a tax? I mean,
no, it's really important because there's a lot of people. I'm not really. I think it's legal extortion. I want you to know that I'm on the prices side, but I'm an economical prisoner too. So just so you know. But I think that there's still a lot of guys out there that aren't able to offer health insurance, and they are not likely to be able to carry the health insurance. So we need to make sure that they have the workers' comp, because if the employee is injured, workers' comp was meant to pay for the medical and the loss of income while he's out.
Is there, back to the RIA on that subject, isn't there a cooperative a healthcare co-op? No, they never did that.
They thought about it. I think they tried to do it. There's just a lot of regulations in the different states and what you're allowed to do. And I don't recall if that ever got off the ground. I knew there was some talk about having a group health plan.
Yeah, because
But the
there's
states
trade
are very, very
associations.
strict. The states are very, very strict on that, and so are the carriers. Those employees, if you're offering it, they have to work 30 hours. It's considered full-time. They have to be an employee. It can't be a 1099 employee. They're very strict. It's not just you could just add
There's trade associations that exist for the sole purpose of collective healthcare.
for health
right?
insurance, but workers' comp is different.
No,
Well, and
so-
remember, against the old adage, even though, remember, they're not fired before they hit the floor. Like they would, if someone gets hurt on your job site, you're going to be responsible for them. So you got to
they're
make sure
not fired before they hit the floor.
I used to tell my guys all the time when they get on a ladder, you're fired before you hit the floor if you fall over.
Yeah, but you know what? That's such a red flag. If you try to fire somebody for reporting a workers' comp claim, guess what? Then there's another little trigger called employment practice liability insurance. And they're going to get to sue you for that, and they will win because it'll look like you were, a hostile work environment, and that's why you fired them. And
Well, and I always tell everybody the same thing. Workman's comp, workman's comp and injuries, whether it's workman's comp injury or if it's unemployment and everything. If you guys are fighting that stuff, like the burden of proof is on you, the contractor, not on the employee getting fired. Like if an employee gets fired, it's up to you as the contractor to validate that you were enforcing your rules uniformly at all
100%.
times. And I mean, I'll be honest, in my younger days, I got fired from a job and I got my unemployment because they fired me for being late too much. And all I had to do was say, well, Bobby over here was late just as many times. And also the rule was, 3 tardies and a suspension, 6 tardies and you're fired. I was on my 8th tardy, not a uniform enforcement. I get it in. So if you're not protecting yourself with workman's comp and everything else, like you will be the one holding.
You're
the bill.
100% correct that most of the states err on the side of the employee in favor of the employee. So, and I see this every day. You guys are not documenting situations that show a paper trail for when you fired that dude. So he is going to be entitled to any benefit he wants because you didn't do a paper trail. All the time I'm like, please tell me you wrote him up when he didn't have his mask on. Please tell me that you wrote him up when he wasn't wearing his face goggles. Or please tell me that you wrote him up because he got another speeding ticket. Like y'all got to be documenting this stuff.
And if you guys are, I mean, and I will say this here, if you have a handbook and it says 3 tardies, you're sent home for the day. 6 tardies, you're suspended for 2 days. 9 tardies within a 6-month period, you're fired. I get, it's hard. We're low on people. You have to enforce it. And if even if you on the paperwork say, hey, we're going against the company policy and I'm giving you one more chance next time you're fired, or next time you will be fired. If you have the documentation though, it will keep you safe because like I said, all it takes is me to say, well, Bobby here was late just as many times. He's not fired. I was actually fired on tardy number 8, and it said in the handbook I was supposed to be fired on tardy 6.
That's parenting 101.
But you've got to do this. Listen, let me tell you, every one of you guys that are listening, standard operating procedures. I'll say, can I have a copy of your SOP? I'll be like, a what?
A what?
A what?
An SOP? What'd you call me?
What's the SOP? Standard operating procedures. How do you store the ladders? How do you do a fleet management? I don't have a fleet. And then they'll be like, I don't have a fleet. And I'll be like, what, do you have a truck? And they'll be like, yeah. And I go, well, don't you have a procedure for that safety? And they're like, what do you mean? I go, don't you get the oil change? Don't you walk around the truck and make sure the lights are on? There you go. There's your standard operating procedures.
Jennifer, where can folks go to ask you all these increasingly mind-numbing questions?
They can go to Jay Sterling at sterlinginsuranceservices.com, or you could
Jay Sterling at
Sterling.
I'm looking at your sign. Insurance services.com. Boom.
And that's,
I mean, there's probably tons of stuff that people don't realize, like they're not, just like how many people are not in compliance with their work alls to be valid contracts. the amount of people I see that are not in compliance with their company overall, and they're just, the only reason they have never gotten in trouble is because they've never gotten in trouble yet. I
Wait
mean,
till they get in trouble, and wait till
At
they
the
get in
end-
trouble. And then what we have to do is I'm trying to get you insurance and not get you screwed over paying extra, because your loss runs, you guys, loss runs. Those are like report cards that the insurance company generate after every year it expires for every policy, for your liability, for your auto, for your workers' comp. When I say, can you send me your 5 years worth of loss runs? It's not because I'm bored. I'm trying to get you a better price if you've never had a claim.
Never had a
If
claim.
you do have a claim in the last 5 years that they're reading you off of, I'm going to make you write a little love letter that says, here's the corrective action course that we took so it never happens again. Now Bobby's required to have Joey hold the ladder, or we will make sure that we use straps when we get on the scissor lift. Like, let's.
At the end of the day, we don't get what we deserve. We get what we accept. We get what we put up with. So if we put up with substandard adherence to the rules, if we put up with someone showing up late all the time, if we tolerate something, that's what we're going to get. So our tolerance level has to go to, no, this is our SOP. And I do the same thing with my kids, and I lay it down. Hey, if you do this again, I'm going to take your computer away. And then it happens again.
These guys don't want to do follow through because they're like, oh my God, if I send him home because he didn't have his goggles on, we have a huge job tomorrow morning. And I hear every stupid story in the world.
But if I don't follow through, my kid understands that I'm full of shit.
Right.
And no corrective action is going to be taken.
And here's another thing real quick. I'll tell you, if you allow someone to have a workers' comp claim, or they put in a claim, or call in sick and do all these shenanigans, you're creating a culture of this cancer, and the cancer spreads really quickly. And you might
Like
have
that.
the one like that. And the one schmuck guy, you might have a crew of only 3 to 4 guys, but that one schmuck that's getting away with all these shenanigans, the other guys are getting pissed. They're pissed because you're allowing it, and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe that guy. It's his 3rd day, he didn't show her.
And your credibility
favoritism.
is suffering. Your credibility as the owner, as a manager of anything else, is evaporating.
Right.
Because
And
you are refusing to enforce your own rules.
Correct. And it will turn into a workers' comp claim, because somebody will be like, oh, he's not going to do anything. And
right.
And you won't.
I will give everybody one little piece of knowledge I know of for you covering your ass on things that every single person that is part of our group needs to make sure they're doing, and that's this. If this is going to sound really simple when I say it, but it seriously is it can be a massive hit to your business if you get hit with it. Every chemical that goes into a vehicle is supposed to be labeled with what that chemical is. You can't have just a pump sprayer and today I'm going to put Benefect in it and tomorrow I'm going to put serum in it. It has to be labeled, and you have to have a safety data sheet for every chemical.
You have to have the MSDS, baby.
But it goes further than that. The law states that the SDS sheets must be accessible
right next to the product,
the driver without taking his seat belt off.
I didn't know that.
So if you are having chemicals in that truck, you need to have like a Dropbox or a Google Drive, and all your office people, every time they buy a new chemical, the SDS sheet is logged in so they can find
Digitize it.
Because I've seen people where they have the SDS sheets like up on the back wall, and you got to take your seatbelt off and grab it.
Brilliant.
Bad.
Hey, that is great. Andrew, I suggest in your next week's meeting or one up and coming, I think we should share either worker comp BS stories that turn into claims that you couldn't get around. Maybe just tackle one liability exposure. Or maybe we should talk about standard operating procedures and what's working and what's not working. And that is, gosh, Joe, that was a good one.
I got one for you, Miss Sterling, real quick, because honestly, I would like to answer this one here. If my vehicle, if I live on this edge of California, between Arizona and California, if I'm working and I travel into another state, is my vehicle supposed to be registered with the DOT? Do you know?
No.
Well, he's talking about no, because the Department of Transportation is the DOT, for those of you who don't know. I don't have many guys that file the DOT. In fact, I know lots of guys that they just keep on moving. If they're in the box truck, they're not even stopping even unless they're getting pulled over. Now,
I got hit for passing a truck stop or wait station when I was in a box truck with equipment and going through Oakland, California, coming down the mountain. And they found out it was too heavy to be going down the mountain. And they pulled me over and I had to sit for 6 hours while they messed around and we had to bring another truck out and split it between the two trucks, like wait stations.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah, oh, it did. It really did. But
hey, really quick, you guys, if you're doing pack outs and you're doing contents and you have a dumb technician that's driving, if he gets pulled over, don't say that there's a bunch of household goods in the back. Don't say that. There's a lot of new bureaus in different states that are household bureaus. It's another money grab. It's another filing. It's another registration. Don't say household goods, because you're not charging by the weight, and you're not a mover, and you're going to be put on this list that's required to do additional filings. So that's a no-no.
Well, I know that.
We're 2 minutes beyond where we're supposed to be. We're over time. Jennifer, one last thing. Did we ever get any traction anywhere on the what you might call it, differentiation, the labor code for restoration? Where do we stand as a nation and as an industry at getting our own labor code? What is up with that?
What you're discussing is a workers' comp class code, and currently right
Yes.
now, most of the guys are putting the majority of their work under 9014 janitorial.
Sure.
Unfortunately, if you're part of the 23 states of the NCCI that governs those 23 states, they're forcing you to put the mold in the asbestos class code 547.
Hazard. Higher risk, way higher risk.
None of you guys are paying attention. You're just paying it. Nobody wants to fight about it. I don't know what to do. It's just, I don't know what to say.
Do you think the RIA may be in a position to advocate nationally for change there?
I mean, I think we should. I talked to one of our very well-known other brokers in the country, and he was like, yeah, don't worry about it. I'm like, yeah, but you're not the contractor. So right now, mold in all of the other states are allowed to be in the janitorial class code. That's what we're talking about, the actual mold payroll. My number one advice to you, everybody that's listening, keep the janitorial, the dehumoving, the miscellaneous broad class code of 9014. Put everything in there. It's like a mush bucket class code, but for God's sakes, keep the mold payroll somewhere in the back of the corner. So if you ever have to pull it out, at least they don't try to lump it all into the asbestos class code. That's what I can tell you to do for now. No.
Yeah, so keep it separate. So when you get audited or whatever,
when they come calling at the end of the
all
year,
they can get is what you kept
that
separate
one little
instead
chunk.
of everything. That's great advice. That's great advice. So 5 minutes over. Appreciate both you guys for showing up.
Thanks for
Thank you,
having us.
Mr. Spears, Mrs. Sterling. This
Thank
has
you.
been amazing. I enjoy our talks. I wish
Thank
there was more people here, but I do enjoy our talks.
But I see that they watch later, so that's okay.
They do watch. People watch. I'm looking
And if
forward
you
to
are watching
Orlando.
it, share it after you watch it.
Yes.
Yeah, please
Perfect.
share. Share.
Yeah. Yeah,
All
or
right.
thumbs up, or whatever. Yeah.
So next week,
All right.
I hope we tackle something that would get everybody involved. And everybody likes to tell their worker comp gets good horse stories.
Yes, everyone likes
I
to
have
tell
plenty of
dirty
my own I
stories.
can tell stories about
See,
being a bad
everybody's
technician.
got one. And
As long
also,
as they're not
keep in
talking about
mind,
balls and cups.
yeah. But don't forget, if you have anybody in your vehicles and they get injured and they're an employee, that employee, that's a workers' comp claim.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. All right. Be good, y'all. We'll see you next week.
God bless y'all. Bye-bye.
Bye.